Sometimes it can feel like we're blindsided by our very own emotions, like they come out of nowhere, right? We might not understand why we feel the way we do, but we're feeling it anyway. Well, my next guest says that emotions have drivers, and there is a reason we're feeling them, even if that reason is deep down. Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend is here to share what those reasons are. We're talking about anger specifically, and I think the word blindside describes it well. It can feel like it bubbles up out of nowhere, and suddenly you're a victim to that emotion.
Right. And the funny thing is it only bubbles up because we don't spend time understanding what it is. Then it surprises us every time. So if you keep being surprised by something that's chronic in you, then someone's not learning.
Joke's on you.
Yeah. So we've got to learn, and that's all I want us to do. Is I don't want to understand someone's anger so that we justify it, because there's kind of no justification to extreme anger. But everything communicates. So we want to use the anger as a way to understand what's going on deeper and then have better conversations later to change it.
Because you say anger can actually be someone trying to communicate a need in an ineffective way, but there's a need at the root of it.
All emotion is communication. You're always trying to communicate. That's why babies cry. So we didn't even have to be trained in this. We just did it. And happiness creates emotion and it brings people closer. Anger creates an emotion that pushes people away. So if we're in anger, we're probably trying to get people to stop doing what they're doing around us because it's making us uncomfortable. 5
root sources of anger that you identified that we or others could be feeling. First, your body is running on E.
This is obvious. If you're tired, hungry, angry, or like hurt, exhausted, overworked, sick, hormonal, any of those things.
I think you just described the human population.
Yeah, that could be an obvious driver.
Yeah.
Which is why we've got to make sure we know how much sleep we need, and we've got to make sure we're getting it.
Yeah.
And if we see our partner isn't getting that sleep, and we've all agreed that they get hangry if they don't eat, then let's not have the big talk right in the middle of dinner or before dinner. So learn what your body needs, take care of your body's needs, and don't ever underestimate that if the fight is caused when someone's hungry, tired, and had it, then we probably picked the wrong time for this.
That might sound super basic, but I'm actually really glad we're starting with that because those physical cues are huge. And like you said, it's about the timing. It's about when I'm going to go in with this topic or this conversation.
But do it with a full belly and
do it with a
good
full
night's
stomach.
sleep.
Okay, hidden mental health issues.
I can't tell you how many times I have a client that knows they have anxiety or ADHD or something, and they don't do anything about it, and then they keep being angry. The number one driver, I think, for men and anger is anxiety.
Really?
And men don't even know they have anxiety, but they're really irritable. And they're like, not all of them, but a lot of them that have anxiety are angry. They're irritable. So if your partner is kind of temperamental and you're afraid to deal with him and talk to him, there might be an underlying anxiety issue, and it's not safe historically for men to go talk about it. And they don't even recognize it as anxiety. I'm just stressed. Well, another word for stress is anxiety. So whatever it is, there's something going on. And if we know we already have a diagnosis, then let's go get serious about working on the diagnosis.
Matt, you're always so good at the reframe, but think of the compassion that comes when you say anxiety versus anger. I'm not going to be super compassionate towards someone who's angry. I am going to have a softer heart towards someone who's anxious.
Well, especially because it's chronic, and whatever your partner's experiencing, it's going to be in the genes too. So we've handed it down, and if as adults we're not fixing this stuff, our kids won't either.
Anger can mean a lack of control.
Every human being and our minds demand that we have some belief that we can control and we have power. And so a lot of us very young that didn't have control and didn't have power in our lives want a lot of control and we want a lot of power. If you come in and start telling me I've got to be somewhere that I don't want to be and I have no power, I'm going to blow up. And we're going to pretend like this is about going to your family reunion. But it's not. It's about I need power and I need control. And so when I don't have it, I'll generally try to create power and control over people. So if you know anybody that's really controlling and really into having it their way, they probably have a power and control issue. And if you go into their story, there's probably a history where they didn't have it. So now they're trying to get it. And the hard part about this, and the way you fix it, is just start to recognize if you've got that. And then talk about it as a partnership. When you say that to me, like, I have to go to the reunion, it starts to make me fight you. And I know people that don't go to church They even believe in God, they believe in all these things, but they won't go to church because someone's telling them to.
That they have to.
So lack of control, lack of power makes people angry.
You know what's interesting? I've been thinking about this lately, like good parenting. I've been thinking that good parenting really just boils down to good communication. And one parenting tactic that's been drilled into our modern parenting brains is that you give kids choices.
Yeah.
Right? You say blue shirt or red shirt, or you say, you try to put as many choices on the table. It's your choice. But if good parenting is just communication, what you're saying is give your grown-up child choices, like give them options, give them control, make them part of the conversation.
And then find out why they wouldn't want to go.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they want to go be with family? Because it stresses me. You'll hear these little cue words, and then, by the way, that might take us back to anxiety or whatever. So if it's not, by the way, a lack of control and power, you know what it could be?
What?
Low self-esteem. And so a better way to look at self-esteem is, do you have an intrinsic sense of self-worth? If I already know who I am, then you saying, why didn't you take the garbage out, doesn't affect me as much as when I get my worth from you. If I don't have self-worth or worth from some intrinsic way, then I need my esteem from you.
Yeah.
And the minute you're judging or critiquing or questioning or wondering why something didn't happen, it threatens me. And when I'm threatened, fight or flight turns on.
I would have never connected those two, but you explained it so well. Could be low self-esteem.
That's right. And so if all of a sudden your partner has a lot of anger, they also you might notice that they game a lot. Like if they did, hey, I did the dishes. I did them. Did you see me do the dishes? That's somebody that needs the validation extrinsically for something that was maybe just, let's just do it intrinsically. But a lot of us just were raised with a lot of extrinsic pressures. Guilt would say to change. Shame is where I feel like people are going to reject me. So some of this low self-esteem comes from growing up in a very shamed environment.
That's so fascinating to me. A lack of self-control is your final root cause of anger.
Anytime you know you should do something you haven't done, you're out of integrity. If I know I should take the garbage out, and I haven't taken the garbage out, and then Marty's like, Matt, why didn't you take the garbage out? Now I'm mad! And I pretend like I'm mad at her, but I'm mad that I don't have enough self-control to do the things I know I need to do for me all day long. And that causes anger. And then I project the anger on you or someone else. Instead of acting, all I need to do is get up and go act on what I know I should do. And if I would just act on what I know I should do for the highest good of my life, I'll start weirdly to have more self-worth. And I'll start to actually have more self-esteem and more value and more power and more choice.
If I move, if I act.
And I do, and especially if I act on what's the right thing to do. Not act on just what everyone tells me to do.
But like you said, for the greater good of my life, are my actions pushing me forward?
The right thing to do is to go to your reunion. And the right thing to do would be to manage your anxiety about it. And once you start managing and acting and doing, you feel better. And it doesn't mean the anger won't come, but we'll learn. And we can talk about it, and we're not going to judge it. And we can validate each other if that's what we need. And let's not get mad. And when we start to get mad, let's just time it out, walk away, get clear in our head what the source is, come back and be effective.
Has anyone told you you're good at this?
Being angry?
No.
They tell me that all the time.
Has anyone told you you're good at this? You are. You have a few upcoming couples retreats I want to ask you about before we say goodbye, because there's only a few spots left at some of these. Puerto
Vallarta and Zions.
There you go.
Those are my two. Those are the two that are coming up. Super fun. If you go to matttownsend.com, they're in October. They're really fun. The Puerto Vallarta, you get away, you get to Mexico, you get to hang out. Super awesome. Zions, you're in your backyard. We take a really cool e-bike ride up the canyon. It's incredible. It's beautiful. And then we spend every morning working on love.
Yeah, along the way, Matt teaches and connects and does what he does so well. As I just said, thank you so much. Go to his website for more details on those, matttownsend.com. Like I said, a few spots left, so be sure to make sure and claim yours.